All right, and we are off to the races. Welcome, everyone, to today's training. Just to frame where we're at, what we're going to be talking about, this is the 0 to 100 session, meaning I'm going to be walking you through the outline of how I created a high-ticket mastermind from scratch and built it to just over 100 members in less than 10 months. Okay, so I launched this particular mastermind at the end of February of this year, and we recently crossed the 100-member mark. Just to give you a quick background on me and who I am, I actually already know some of you here, some of you are in either the crypto mastermind or you were a part of the 30-day crypto accelerator. But for those of you who aren't so familiar with me and who I am, my name's Brandon. I've been building and scaling programs in the online coaching consulting space for about the last 5 years or so. I had been sort of showing other people, kind of like this session, showing other people how to go about doing that, the processes to use, the systems and whatnot. And then more recently, I just decided, hey, I'm going to launch a crypto mastermind. Going to build it up, and that's the process I'm going to walk you through here today. So before we dig into that, though, if you would, just jump in the chat real quick and just let me know, like, if you were to launch a mastermind, right, based on some sort of skill, knowledge, or expertise that you have and that you wanted to share with other people. If you were to do that today, what category or industry would you be in? Okay, so you might say, hey, I want to do a fitness mastermind. I want to do a nutrition mastermind. I want to do a business investment mastermind. I want to do a business building mastermind, Web3 mastermind. There we go. Whatever it might be, pick a category and just drop it in the chat there. Isaac, fitness and habit building. Nice. Awesome, Isaac. And just let me know category or like just general kind of skill, knowledge, expertise that you feel, number one, you want to share that with other people, but also you're acknowledging, hey, I want to get paid for this as well. I certainly don't want to do it for free, given the time and effort it takes to put something like this together. Paul, crypto safety protocols, love it. Lenny, crypto and transportation industry investing. Yes. That would be incredible. That's like a really, really niche category. Kathy, sales, awesome. Sam, personal finance and small business. Nice. Okay, so we got quite of a variety here, which is awesome. And so what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through from like a principle-based connection, how that would work. Donald, technology optimization for small business and organizations. Perfect. All right, give me 1 second here. Looks like my connection got disconnected. I wanted to connect my tablet here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Let Erica in here. All right, we got it. Okay, here we go. From 0 to 100. Now, just to, again, kind of frame the value here and what this could be for you. And obviously, hey, maybe you don't get exactly 100. That's not the point of this. The point is just to see the potential of what this could be. When I say a high ticket mastermind, Erica, happy to see you again. Welcome to the party. When I say a high ticket mastermind, typically this will be, and obviously this is not set in stone, but typically this will be somewhere in the $5,000 to $20,000 range. Okay, and obviously there's many ways to create a program, to sell it online. It could be 2,000, 3,000, could be 30,000, whatever. The point is, like, broadly speaking, this is kind of the range that people are talking about when they talk about a high ticket experience. And usually what you'll see in this space is a coaching program. And I'm going to kind of walk you through why, obviously I'm biased because I've been running a mastermind and I love this format, but I'm going to walk you through why I think the coaching program model as a fulfillment model is inferior to the mastermind approach, the mastermind fulfillment model. So the 5 to 20,000. So what this means is if you launched your own high ticket mastermind, even if it took you a whole year to build to that 100 members, well, do the math. If you had 100 members at 5K each in total, that would be 500,000. Okay. All the way up to, if you did, let's say, a $20,000 program, well, that would be 2 million. Is this this is not, sorry, sometimes it doesn't cooperate. There we go. And obviously this is not like a guarantee of income or anything. It's just acknowledging like, hey, this is how the math works out. If you enroll so many people at a certain price point, that's what this could potentially be for you. So the idea here is if you are thinking about getting into this as a business, to start conceiving of it as a business, like a business needs healthy, legitimate revenue and cash flow in order to operate, in order to keep the thing going. Okay. So 500,000 to 2 million, if implemented consistently over time, that's what this could potentially in your business. So broad strokes, the three main things that you will need in order to run something like this. Number one, obviously, you would need an acquisition strategy. Okay. This would be marketing. No surprises there. Number two, you're going to need a sales process, not just, oh, I know I have to enroll people, but like an actual process that's predictable. And then number three, you would need a fulfillment model. I'm going to break these down. But first of all, just from like broad strokes perspective, you look at this and you go, all right, what do we have here? That show up this time. There we go. What do we have here? Well, this is sales, marketing, fulfillment. This is actually what you would need for any healthy business to function on like a strategic high level. But in our context, we're going to have a simplified acquisition strategy that, again, is superior to the coaching model, which if you've been around in the high ticket space for any amount of time, you know that the typical approach is like, oh, I click on an ad, I watch a webinar that's been recorded ahead of time, and then I end up on a sales call with somebody for an hour, and then I buy their program or product. That can work. In my opinion, it's a little outdated, and it uses up so much additional resource in terms of time, energy, and mind share that it's really not necessary. And then sales process. And again, the sort of the typical what you'll find in this space is the hour-long sales call where we just like talk and talk and talk, and we dig into the pain and we go deep. And I don't believe that's necessarily. I believe that there can be a simplified sales process that takes way less of your time as a service provider and actually serves the client at a much higher level rather than putting them through these unnecessarily long and arduous sales calls. And then finally, the fulfillment model. This is the mastermind model. This is where we're going to start today in terms of content. And by the way, as I'm going through this, any questions, comments pop up into your mind, just drop those in the chat at any time. If they're relevant immediately, I'll address them right away. If I feel like, hey, we'll get to that in a little bit, we'll just kind of like push them back a little bit. But I do want to address any questions that you have along the way. I want to make this as interactive as possible while I go through the content. Okay, so number one is our fulfillment model. And our fulfillment model in this context is the mastermind fulfillment model. Here's why I believe this is far superior to the typical coaching program. So a typical coaching program will be, hold on, let me just put this on mute here. If you're not already on mute, please go ahead and mute yourself, just so we don't get any funny noises. There we go. So the typical coaching model is one direction, meaning it's based on, and this is, apologize for the tech here, one direction. There we go. Well, that says direction. You can't read it. And what I mean by one direction is typically the coaching model will be, hey, I'm Brandon, like I'm the main guy. I know everything there is to know about XYZ, and I'm the expert and you're not, and I'm superior to you, and you're a lowly peasant, and I'm gonna like, from the top down, I'm gonna like teach you these things. So automatically it sets up the dynamic as this person is inferior in some way, and ooh, look how great I am, draw attention to myself, and I'm going to show you the pathway in order to do that. Versus the mastermind model, which is collaborative. Okay. So anyone who's in the crypto mastermind knows, like, I don't go around telling people like, oh, look at me, I'm the best, I'm the main guy, only listen to me and only do things my way. Rather, I say, hey, listen, I may not be the biggest, best crypto guru on planet Earth, but I have a few tactics and strategies that I have used in the past and I am currently using that are working very, very well. I'm going to show you that. And at the same time, I'm going to acknowledge that within the community, there will be other people who are just as knowledgeable, if not more knowledgeable than me, who also have something to contribute. So now we're creating a community atmosphere rather than sort of like a school atmosphere. Now, there will naturally be an educational element to it, okay? So it's not just like, hey, come one, come all, and like whatever. Like you should have some sort of process or system. And so you'll be able to instill that process or system with your group, but you'll want to break it down into easily manageable chunks, okay? And I'm going to give you my example of how I do that in the crypto mastermind, but ultimately, like you'll want to kind of like pull out the principle and reverse engineer this for your own context. So I say, all right, what is my actual investment process? Because there is a process. Like I've thought this through, tried a few different things, and kind of found something that works really, really well. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth into this because I have a whole other workshop for the crypto mastermind itself that gets into this. But basically, I walk people through a 1, 2, 3. And I say, hey, here's our primary assets. That's our farm. We're going to use yield farming to produce secondary assets. And then we're going to use those secondary assets, stake those into additional pools and earn even more assets on top of that. So we've got our LP here, and then this produces additional assets. And then we stake those and get even more on top of that. And then we can either take profits or reinvest. Okay, this is a gross oversimplification of it, but that's the idea. So whatever you're thinking, if it's, and this is where I would go back to, hey, if we got a sales framework, a transportation industry investing, personal finance, technology optimization for small businesses, organization, fitness or habit building, Web3, the idea is that you would have some sort of concise and easily explainable version of what you do. Now, there's way more details and nuances to this, but the idea is when you're first connecting with somebody, you need a really concise, clear way of describing to them how you would actually help them accomplish the thing that you are purporting to help them accomplish. So, I mean, we don't have this outside the scope of today, but I mean, we could go through these one by one if this was like a 3-hour session. And I would say like, okay, Lenny, transportation industry investing, like what's the process there? And I'm just going to make this up because I don't actually know what the process is for the transportation industry. But my guess is there would be some phase where you're kind of like researching some phase where you're raising capital, some phase where you're actually selecting the company that you would want to invest in. And then the fourth would be like maybe maintenance or reallocation of those investments. The idea is you've got everything can be boiled down to like a really clear-cut process. And your job as the service provider is to clearly and concisely explain that in such a way that other people can simply understand it. Kathy has her sales process, and I work with Kathy already, so I happen to know this. It's literally just the acronym SALES. So it's a 5-phase system, and it takes you through each part of the sales process that she's used to produce nearly, I think it was like $1 billion in sales throughout her career. So the idea is that you have this clear-cut pathway that you can share with people, and at the same time, not get stuck in the model where you are just the guru doing the teaching all the time, okay? So moving along, why is the mastermind model superior to the coaching model? The other one that I've found, and this is just from my experience, like being a part of multiple coaching programs and systems. And put that on mute there. Sorry about that. Sorry, this just does not want to cooperate with me today. I'm trying to get a blank. All right, I apologize. I'm just gonna pull up a Google Doc and type. My tablet does not want to cooperate here. Normally you could go the slides route, but I just get so bored staring at slides all day long. So I thought I'd make it a little more fun, but it didn't work out. Okay, so mastermind model versus coaching model. The coaching model is short-term by nature. Okay, so if you think about this, coaching could work for some contexts, but in my opinion, it usually does not serve the client at the highest level. Whereas the mastermind model is long-term engagement by nature, meaning it is more conducive to the actual process of human transformation. And we're primarily focused with implementation rather than information. Most of these coaching programs that exist, they're really just glorified like digital courses, but there's like a high level of information, but not necessarily like implementation. So the idea with the mastermind is we're focused on learning by doing rather than consumption of informational material, okay? Here's an example of that. I took a program long ago. It was primarily focused on like online marketing, like client acquisition, strategies and systems, funnels, like that sort of stuff. It was 10 weeks and it was $9,800. So for $9,800, you get it's basically $1,000 a week to be a part of this program or system. And yes, there were some great coaching sessions and some good material and whatnot. But then the kicker was when it was over, it was over. Like that was it. You got kicked out unless you then, of course, wanted to upgrade into the next level, higher tier, whatever, upsell. And I always felt like, well, but I'm not really done doing the first thing that you taught me yet, because the nature of this thing is like, you can't do everything inside of 10 weeks. Like it just doesn't happen. It's too much to implement all at once. So the idea here is rather than building like a typical standardized coaching program, you rather say, hey, my mastermind model, and this is, I mean, you can choose whatever you want. You can do it 12 months as an example. You can do, the way I did it in the crypto mastermind was lifetime access. Because the nature of the crypto investing strategy that I teach is like, this is a decades long process. And I don't want you to feel like you have to re-up every single year to stay in the community. I just want you to enroll and you're in the community, and now you have access to the thing indefinitely. So there's some leeway here, but I would say in a true mastermind model, you're going to be enrolling people for at least a 12-month time frame. And the reason this works versus the coaching model, the reason why most coaching systems and programs are short-term is because there's a really high level of effort and output that's required in order to fulfill on that system and structure. So usually the coaching, there's one-on-one sessions, and there's group sessions, and then there's this session, and then there's work that you submit and get feedback, and then there's a training module. Like there's all this stuff involved. And so naturally that requires a lot of resource on the part of the business. I'm saying as a mastermind model, we're focused on minimum effective dose, meaning that I'm going to put together what actually helps someone take the next step that they need to take in order to make progress. So rather than saying, hey, welcome to the program, drink from the fire hose, here's everything that you need. Well, what does that do to a person? They just get overwhelmed, they get frustrated, they don't know where to start. Instead, we'll say, hey, mastermind, minimum effective dose. What's the one thing you need today that's going to move the needle, that's going to help you make progress or a step towards that ultimate long-term transformation? Hey, in the crypto mastermind, it might be, hey, you need to go open an account with Coinbase. It might be you need to create a MetaMask wallet. It might be you need to learn how to transition from fiat into crypto. Erica, is everyone taking the same action at the same time? No, because you'll be enrolling people at different times, and we'll get to that in just a second, Erica. How I believe the mastermind model best works, and this is 100% based on anecdotally my own experience. So minimum effective dose. Here is how I navigate this, okay? Because you might say, Brandon, lifetime access, like, aren't you gonna run out of bandwidth? Well, no, because I'm not meeting with every single member for a 1-hour one-on-one call every single week. That would be ludicrous. They don't actually need it. I don't want to provide that because that would be way too time intensive, and it wouldn't actually serve people in the most effective way. So when I enroll someone, yeah, I'll do some one-on-ones. They are action-based and always involve, clear cut action. So, and this is how I do it. Okay. So someone enrolls in the crypto mastermind, they pay their 5K, and then I meet with them one-on-one immediately, like usually within a day or two, ideally. Some people get pushed out a little further, but ideally within the first day or two. I assess with them on a one-on-one session what their current starting point is, and I already know what they need based on their starting point, what they need in order to move forward to the next phase. So I'll just say something like, cool, I'm going to take some notes, jot down some notes. I'm going to email those notes to the person afterwards. It's usually a 15 or 20-minute session. It's actually like really high impact and short in terms of the time involved to make it happen. And then I give them some actions. And then the instruction is, as soon as you are done with this, let me know immediately, and then we'll book a follow-up call. So what it does is it removes the time pressure of like, you have to get this done in the next 3 days. Instead, it says, hey, you're a human, I'm a human. You go ahead and work at whatever pace you feel most comfortable with. These are your action steps. And after you're done, we'll meet again as a follow-up. I've had people who jump in and get that done in 3 days. I've had people who take 3 months to do it. But the point is, I let them decide that on their own. I'm not here to tell you, oh, push to make it happen in the next 30 days, partially because I acknowledge like not everybody works at the same pace in that regard, and not everybody experiences the receipt of value in the same time frame. So let's take, I think it was Donald, was it Donald or Isaac? Isaac had a, yeah, I think it was Isaac had a fitness program, right? So Isaac, one way this could potentially work out in that context is, again, as opposed to, hey, here's my 8-week hyper accelerated get ripped program, right? Instead, you could go, hey, actually, everybody's at a different starting point. We're going to like collaboratively work together. I've got a few structures and systems that I know are super effective for achieving XYZ, whatever those long-term results are, that actually help you optimize your health long-term. And then you meet with that person after they enroll, you meet with them one-on-one, and you find out like, oh, actually, they've never worked out in the last 20 years. Well, guess what? Their first 12 weeks is going to look a lot different than someone else's, where someone else comes on board and they're like, hey, actually, I've been working out 3 days a week for the last 3 years, but I kind of hit a plateau and I need help getting over that. And then Isaac, you as the expert, you can go, okay, cool. So your first steps, meaning like minimum effective dose, the changes that you need to implement right away based on what you've been doing and where you want to be, here's what that will look like. And you plot that out for that person. And again, I'm telling you, this is how I did it. There's some obviously malleability here. It doesn't have to be done like this exact way every single time, but I do one-on-ones. And then we also meet in a group each week for mastermind sessions. And what I'll tell people is, listen, this is not a stagnant curriculum. Because like in the context of crypto, like things are constantly changing. Like, a year in crypto is like 10 years in the real world. Like it's really hyper accelerated. So rather than have you slog through 30 hours of curriculum video, that would be obsolete in a couple months anyway. Instead, we're going to workshop and discuss whatever is most timely and relevant based on what's happening right then and there. You could even have that approach in a fitness context. You could say, listen, we're not going to just deal with a stagnant curriculum here. This is not cookie cutter information that you could just find on your own on YouTube in an hour. We're going to deal with whatever is most timely and relevant based on what's happening in the community. And then lo and behold, you get a question from someone over here who's like, hey, my doctor just told me I have low testosterone, which is why I'm not seeing the results from some of my workouts. What can I do about that? And then you could jam on that a little bit in the mastermind session. You go like, look, I'm not a doctor, but here's what I know about hormonal balances and how those hormonal balances affect the outcomes that you're seeing as a result from your fitness and nutrition program. So what happens is the feedback from the community actively becomes a foundation from which you can then design your curriculum, if you want to call it that, but basically the training content that you produce for the group. As an example, I was getting a ton of questions about taxes in crypto. And I was like, well, I'm not a tax expert, but I know a guy who is. I know a guy who's a CPA who does crypto taxes. I know a guy who isn't a CPA, but helps people with crypto, like accounting and like organizing all that information. So now I'm free, because it's a mastermind and it's not all about Brandon the Guru. I'm free to invite these guests from my community into the mastermind and say, hey, would you mind teaching for an hour on XYZ topic? And I'll be honest, like those are the sessions I get some of the best feedback on, when it's like, okay, Brandon, we heard from you already. Like now I want to hear from someone else. And so you create the space, and this is actually a good point. The mastermind model creates space for accelerated learning from multiple sources, rather than just relying on you, the one person who now must know everything. And we like to believe that there's these expert gurus that just know everything about a topic, right? And maybe sometimes there are, like that can happen. But realistically, you're going to find more often than not, you're going to find someone who is very highly skilled and knowledgeable. But as with anything human, there are some gaps there. And you're now free as a mastermind community host to fill those gaps in your own knowledge base with potential guest speakers and teachers. And as a side bonus, it also helps you build your professional network with people that, hey, you might be a guest on one of their masterminds or podcasts or sessions or whatnot. So it opens the door for a lot of additional connection points to happen, while also creating more space for you as the service provider. Okay, so let's move on, because I want to make sure we get to everything. So we had one was our fulfillment model. That was the mastermind model. Okay. Casey, what's up? Saw you just jumped in, man. You're going to want to go back and catch the first half hour on the replay. Very, very relevant for you, man, where you're at right now. Kathy, I'm in business mastermind right now. Amazing. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. Lenny, one thing I like about your crypto mastermind is that you provide the subject matter experts on the different topics. It is crucial and well appreciated. Yeah, 100%, Lenny. That's exactly what I'm saying is like, why put the pressure on yourself to be the only one who has the knowledge that this person needs, especially when it doesn't serve the person at the highest level. So you take the pressure off of yourself, which is super helpful and liberating, and also you get a better experience and result for your clients as well. Okay, so now we've got the fulfillment model. Let's get into acquisition strategy. Okay, this would be your marketing funnel. Most of the time, the funnel goes like this. You see an ad / post. You opt in. Then you have to watch a 60-minute webinar, then book a sales call, then talk to someone for 60 to 75 minutes around in circles. Believe me, I've been on so many of these calls. I'm to the point now where if I get on a call and I can tell it's going to take more than like 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, bye. I'm going somewhere else. And then you would enroll. And that's the typical funnel. It's not wrong. It's just that in my mind, it's not the most efficient use of your time as a service provider. Yeah, way too many steps. Exactly. As a service provider, you want to have a majority of your focus and mind share on the community, on the fulfillment model, because that's where your product actually exists, right? So with integrity, you want a majority of your focus there. But also, as a business owner, you know, hey, I need marketing and sales in order to fuel this machine that I'm trying to create. So this is going to be the funnel that I used in order to, and there's multiple versions of it. I'm just going to give you the most basic version, the most straightforward version of it. So we would have an ad or a post. Okay, when I say a post, I'm saying like, I acknowledge not everything is from a paid ad, right? Paid ads are great. Like they produce traffic, they're awesome. But sometimes you're just speaking to your organic audience. That could be a social media outlet. Maybe you got YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Or it could be like an email, or it could be in real life, like you're actually talking to a human in real life. That leads to application, okay? We call this, I'll just put a little note here. This is the direct to app funnel. Okay. Meaning that we're basically saying, and if you saw my ads, you would see that they basically say like, hey, I've got a mastermind. Here's what we do in the mastermind. If you'd like to apply to join the mastermind, here's how you do it. They click the button, they apply, and now they're on my calendar. And then they talk directly to me. Talk directly to me. This is not a sales call. That's why it's so beautiful. It's just a 15 to 20 minute chat. I want them to get to know me. And in your context, you're going to want your prospects to get to know you a little bit. I want to find out where they are. Part of it is filtering for me too. Like I've had these conversations where I was like, this guy's not getting in. Like I can just tell from this conversation that I don't want him to be a part of the community. So there is a little bit of a filtering and qualification process there. Okay. They talk directly to me. Then they watch the workshop / webinar / whatever it is, okay? And then enroll. So the idea here is you can do this live, like we're on a live workshop webinar thingy right now, right? This is a version of this funnel. It's a little bit flip-flopped, but once you get that dialed in, then you have a recorded version of that. In my crypto mastermind, I just have a recorded workshop. And I'm like, cool, I met you. If you want to move forward, you need to go watch this workshop because the workshop explains in detail exactly what we're going to do in the mastermind. So I don't want you jumping in until you fully understand what it is that you're jumping into. Then they watch it. 100% of the time, if they don't watch this, they don't enroll. Just how it works. Now, they might not watch the whole thing, but the people who enrolled, they watched at least a portion of it. Sometimes they watch the whole thing 2 or 3 times because it's like, whoa, that was like a little over my head. I need to like go back and rewatch this. But basically inside of this marketing piece, workshop, webinar, training, whatever it is, this is where you would outline that process that I mentioned before. So on my workshop, in the context of the Crypto Mastermind, I walk people through, hey, here's the philosophy behind what we do. Here's how it works. Here's the 1, 2, 3 of the actual system. And then I can actually, because it's crypto, I can click by click on a screen share, show them, you click here, you click here, you click here, you click here, you click here. Boom, you can go do this on your own, or you can join a community of other people who are already doing it. That's the premise. So we fully acknowledge, like, you can do this on your own. If Isaac, you were doing your, let's use a different example, because I keep picking on Isaac here. Let's say we were going to do Sam. Sam has personal finance / small business. Let's say we're doing personal finance, and Sam, you're going to help people like get their finances in order. You would say, hey, here's the 3 or 4 step process that it takes to get your finances in order. First, you're going to evaluate your expenses. Then we're going to create a budget. Then we're going to do this. And then we're going to increase cash flow, and whatever it is. So you give them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever step process it is. And then you actually teach that on the workshop. So it's not like a fluff piece, like a marketing webinar where you just like yammer on for a while. You go like, actually, this is how you do it. These are the steps to accomplish the thing you want to accomplish. And then the invitation is, and you know what? You could actually take this and do it on your own. And that's totally cool with me. Or you can join a cool community of other people, get help and support along the way for the next 12 months, 24 months, lifetime access, whatever, and know that you're not alone in this process. My opinion here, but the primary reason any human doesn't accomplish the thing that they want to accomplish is because they did not implement a thing that they already knew they were supposed to be implementing. Think about a fitness goal. It's not for lack of additional information that someone doesn't hit it. It's because they lose motivation. Other stuff gets in the way. They don't feel like it that day. In the case of investments, it's not for lack of information about how many investments are out there. It's for lack of, I need to sit down and like click this button and do this and put the money here, and then be patient enough to like wait for it to grow, rather than like being an impulsive decision maker like most humans are, like I am at times. I need people around me who at the right time can say, whoa, 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 don't sell yet. Wait another couple months, or someone to say, hey, it's on a tear, it's going up. Like, now's the time to sell on the way up for a little bit of profit. Like, those little bits along the way are infinitely more valuable than any like informational content that you could give to somebody. So back to this though, the direct app funnel. So there's an ad or a post. It goes right to an application, and they're going to talk directly to you, to me. Then they watch the material, and then they enroll. Typically, usually these deals are closed via text or email or messenger. Sometimes you'll do a follow-up call, but in my experience, it's actually pretty rare. So what I'm saying is, this entire thing, you got to write the post or the ad. You got to do that no matter what. That's going to take a little bit of time. But now you've got probably a 15 to 30 minute time commitment here, and that's it, versus having to do 1 hour enrollment calls plus the follow-ups plus all the extras. So you're saving yourself, I don't know exactly how much, probably 15 to 20 hours a week. If you have like a healthy lead flow, you're probably saving yourself about 15 to 20 hours a week, which you can then reallocate to fulfillment, to actually like spending time with your community. Okay. So that is in a nutshell the funnel. And now this is related to what I said before. The third thing was a sales process. So you've got your fulfillment model, you've got your acquisition strategy, and you've got your sales process. Now the sales process is integrated into the acquisition strategy. It's just that most coaching programs who teach a sales process will typically teach you like a really long and drawn out type of. Now, depending on your context, that might be necessary. Okay. If you're selling high grade medical equipment, you might need to hang out with someone for 2 or 3 hours to like assess the need and get. I'm talking about in the context of, I want to create a mastermind community. I want to manage this on my own. I don't want to have a team of 4 or 5 people helping me on fulfillment. And I still want to have enough space to do new enrollments and sales to drive revenue to get me to 100 members. But I need to simplify my sales process. So 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to call this a discovery call for lack of a better phrase, but it's basically the initial meeting that you have with someone. Now, in the online guru space, people will tell you, no. They have to watch all your marketing material first, and they got to be warmed up to you, and they have to like follow you for a year before they're ready for this call. I don't believe that at all. I believe that if you have a really strong offer, you have a cool idea for a community, you can just flat out say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what happens in the community. And if you want to join, click here to apply. And then they talk to you. And at the end, I always tell them, hey, this was great. I really enjoyed meeting you. Would love to hear if you have any questions about the mastermind or about the process and how it works. The people who are interested will just flat out say, yeah, so I mean, I guess it would be like, what does it cost and how does it work? I go, yeah, it's a lifetime access membership. I explain to them the whole thing, like what you get access to. You get the community, you get the calls, you get one-on-ones with me to help you get started. And then I say, and it's a one-time payment of $5K to get started. But before you decide on that, like you actually need to go and watch this workshop. I'll just like, I don't even try to close it on the first call. So the discovery call is really just very chill, friendly call. Explain the process overview. I tell people on the call, like, hey, this is how we do it. We become liquidity providers. We get paid to do that. We earn yield. We accumulate the yield, save it over time. And then it becomes a productive asset on its own. And we stake that yield to earn additional tertiary assets on top of that. So it's a yield on yield on yield kind of an approach. And they're like, whoa, okay, that's cool. I like the sound of that. And I go, listen, that's just the overview. The video is going to explain everything more in depth. I just kind of want to give you like a bird's eye view of everything. So you will explain the process overview. You want to get to know them and their starting point. So when I ask questions on these discovery calls, I'm not asking, like, oh my God, your biggest pain point. Oh, we got to like dig in and twist the knife, like some of these kind of sales process in this space teach. I'm more just saying like, hey, I just kind of want to get a feel for you and where you're at and what your starting point is, because I want to know as a service provider, I want to know, can I like legitimately help and serve this person? Usually the answer is yes, because they wouldn't be applying if they were disinterested in being a part of the group. But it is, again, it's that filter where you can actually like kind of push a few people away if you know 100% they're not going to be a good fit for the group. Get to know them, and you give them space to ask questions, because most people's questions will be the same. They're going to want to know, who are you? What's your process? How does it work? Can I trust you? Has it worked for someone else in the past? And then what does it cost and how do I get started? But there's going to be a few other questions, but that's basically what it boils down to. And you'll give a brief, concise answer to those questions, because remember, you're not trying to overcome objections and close the deal on the first call. You're just saying like, yeah, here's how it works. Yeah, it's $5K once-off payment. Yeah, you get this and this, and the one-on-one, like explain to them the actual like deliverables of the mastermind group. And then you redirect them to the marketing piece, webinar, workshop, training, however you're framing that. And then in this model, the money is in the follow-up, meaning that I've had people who I talk to them and they enroll the next day. I've had people that I talk to them and they enroll 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, sometimes a couple of months down the road. And have I maybe lost a few sales along the way because I didn't push harder? Probably. I mean, I can think back to a few that I'm like, I probably could have like really driven hard and pushed for that and like gotten the close. The problem with that then is you increase your refund rate, because if you push hard all the time, eventually you're going to enroll someone just by nature of who you are and your assertiveness, and they don't actually want to be there, and they kind of did it because they felt coerced or bullied into it. I just made a decision a long time ago. That's not the energy that I want to bring to the sales conversation. So I'm just going to create the space for them to make their own decision, but I'm also going to give them all the information that they need to make that decision. And until they firmly tell me it's a hard no, I'm going to follow up every week and just say like, hey, what's going on? Like you were interested before, like, are you ready for next steps? Like, what questions do you have for me? Where are you at in the process? Like, I'm just going to keep doing that until someone just flat out tells me, nah, I don't want to do it. And I go, cool. Lenny, what CRM do you recommend? There are a ton of them out there. For the Crypto Investors Mastermind, I used primarily a service called Go High Level. It's about, I think the entry point is $97 a month. But I've also in the past, I've used Kajabi, which I'm a big fan of as well. And then there's other ones. I actually would not recommend ClickFunnels only because like there's a lot of bugs in that thing, and integrating it with Facebook ads is becoming more and more problematic as we go. But typically you'll want to expect to spend $100 to $300 a month, depending on what type of system that you use. Getting started, you can usually stick in the under 200 a month category, and you'll have literally everything you need, meaning like a schedule. Go High Level is nice because there's a scheduler integrated into it. You can build funnels, you can build checkout pages integrated into it, which is super, super nice. So I would say in terms of like dollars spent, Go High Level probably has the most amount of features, and those features exist on a pretty basic level, but when you're just getting started, then that's all you really need. Yeah, Paul says, I use Go High Level and recommend it. I also use Just Call, which is decent too. That's it. I haven't heard of that one, Paul. Is that just like a phone call or like Zoom-like tool? Oh, very similar to Go High Level. Okay, so kind of like an all-in-one. Justcall.io. I will check it out. All right, so this is the overview of the process that I use. I'm going to pause here and just open it up for any like questions, thoughts, discussions, comments. The idea here is, again, I started this in end of February, and so it was just under 10 months. So that's an average of about 10 new members per month, which in my mind is a reasonable pace given this type of fulfillment process. Meaning, if it's just you and you don't yet have a massive team on your side, you probably don't want to be enrolling like 30 new members a month. It would overwhelm you, and you'd probably have trouble like keeping up with the pace. But at the same time, it's like, hey, if I'm charging, let's say 8,000 per mastermind ticket, then 10 people a month, that's an 80,000, that's almost $1 million a year business. And for a solopreneur, like, that's not bad. Obviously, could be more. I know people that do quite a bit more as a solopreneur, but that's a really, really solid business, especially for this type of business. And you can achieve those results. I probably realistically only put in like maybe 25 to 30 hours per week of work. And that's all things considered. That's like prepping for masterminds, one-on-one meetings, group stuff, marketing materials, following up with people, sales calls, copywriting, like all the little tasks associated with it. You can achieve that 8 to 10-ish new members a month mark at that rate, at that work capacity. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Rose my hand to just talk freely, Brendan, or what?
Sure,
okay.
Sure. Yeah, Donald, absolutely.
So you mentioned that if you convince someone to buy, they'd be more likely to want money back. What's your philosophy on that? Like, is it someone's in it for 6 months or something, and then they ask their money back? Like, what's that?
I'm saying by the numbers. Okay. Usually if you get a refund request, they can happen further into the process, but usually it's within the first 3 days. And what I'm saying is, if you push hard every time for the sale and you enroll 12 people, probably 1 or 2 of those 12, if you're doing it like consistently every single month, probably 1 or 2 of those people are going to feel like, he kind of pushed me into that. Like, they're going to get off the call with you and they're not going to feel good about their decision. They're going to have buyer's remorse. I'm like, I feel like he kind of like pushed me into it, versus what I'm suggesting, the sales process that I'm using right now that I recommend is very relaxed and chill. It's more attractional, right? Like let them come to you. And if they're going to choose to get in, you go, great. And then they'll usually ask a question like, okay, so I mean, how do I start? I'm like, well, I'll email you the registration link, and as soon as that's complete, I'm going to reach out to you with next steps, and we're going to book our first one-on-one call together. So I tell them what's going to happen immediately after the sale, but I don't like grind hard and overcome objections for an hour. And I'm saying that in stark contrast to a majority of what is being taught right now in the high ticket coaching sales space, which is to like dig into the pain, get the uber emotional decision, which does have its place. But at the same time, you just have to acknowledge that if people make a decision in that state and they're not used to making decisions in sort of like an elevated emotional state, likely you'll get a good chunk of people that then regret that decision immediately.
Okay, but you don't formally have like a money back guarantee. You don't kind of sell it that way. You're like, you're joining.
No. I don't do a money back guarantee.
Okay,
at all. When people ask me about the guarantee, I mean, I'm in the crypto space, so I obviously can't guarantee anything in crypto. I just tell people, look, the guarantee is not on the crypto side. The guarantee is on my side as the service provider. I guarantee that you're going to get exactly what I tell you that you're going to get, which is the help, support, training, one-on-one. So like whatever I told you you would receive, that's 100% what you're going to get on the other side of this.
Great. Thank you. Very good information. Appreciate it.
Who else?
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
Hey, Daniel, what's happening, man?
Oh, not much, man. Enjoying everything that you've been teaching thus far. I kind of hopped on a little late. Now, I heard when I first entered the Zoom, this is being recorded. So is there a way to go back and listen to the rest of it? Like,
For sure. I'm going to send out the replay via email as soon as it's processed and uploaded. I'm going to upload it to YouTube and send everybody the link.
Okay, perfect. And other thing is, you had another workshop, right? Another how I did my mastermind workshop.
Yeah, that's what this one is. That's what this one is.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, it got postponed or something.
No, that's what this one is. This is the how to build your own mastermind session.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. For sure. I thought I saw one that you did like last week or the beginning of the week or whatever, but maybe it was just yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All good, man. Yep. Thanks. So let's do this just in the chat. For those of you who have like an idea for a mastermind, just like drop in the chat. What's your timeline? I mean, are you thinking like, hey, I want to launch this the new year? Or is this like, hey, I'm just kind of like exploring this, thinking about it. Maybe in 2025, I'm going to launch my mastermind. Like, I just want to get a feel for where everybody's at in terms of like actually implementing. Casey, new year. Nice, dude. Lawrence, I'd like to launch in 2023. Nice. In the next 30 to 45 days. All right. Awesome, Lenny. Exploring 6 to 12 months. Okay, Sam. So just like sort of laying the groundwork, putting it all together. I like to see your process compared to my current client strategy. Okay, so Donald, so you're already like building a mastermind community?
I wouldn't say it's a mastermind. I'm just helping clients and trying to build them. But the perspective of it being a mastermind versus it being a client relationship directly and not really having anyone else in the circle was the difference that I kind of wanted to hear you explain.
Cool. Okay, awesome. John, couple of months. Daniel, like to launch next year, Q2. All right, awesome. Love it. So here's the offer that I have for you all on the session today. And then I actually have some time. So if you want to stick around, I know we're almost at the top of the hour, but if you want to stick around and just like ask questions, jam for a little bit, we absolutely can. I have the Crypto Mastermind. And then I also have a community, which is a business builder mastermind. Okay. So it's the folks that they're not necessarily the crypto investors. They are the folks like you all on this session who actively want to build their own community. So the crypto mastermind, we got to 102. I actually closed enrollment for that one because I felt like this is a really solid community that we've built. I don't want to just like keep adding people indefinitely. That wasn't my intention. And so then I shifted gears and said like, well, but I want to create a new community That is folks who actually want to do that same thing, meaning build your group from either scratch or maybe a few members and build it up to 100, 150. Well, sky's the limit, really. You don't have to stop at 100. But the idea is you want to build your own community and you want to get paid to help people do this. Like, you want your skill and knowledge and expertise to be monetized. But you want to do it in a way that isn't like completely exhausting the way that some of the existing coaching models are. And I used to do it that way. I used to do, you get my coaching program, it's 6 months. We do one-on-ones every week. We do 3 group coaching calls every week. You do the training, you do this, you do that. Like, there were so many little bits and pieces. And in retrospect, I realized it was actually too much for the client and for me, because we could have rather focused our energy on minimum effective dose. So if you're thinking about doing this at any point in the next 12 months, what I'm offering you today is a 12-month membership access to this Business Builders Community Mastermind. I'll tell you ahead of time, there are currently just 10 people in this community because it is something that I have just launched recently. It is not massive, but that's good. Like, we're keeping it small. I'm keeping it small intentionally so that it doesn't become this like massive thing where you get lost in the mix, but you can actually like connect with people and make a contribution. That is a 5K 12-month membership. So what I'm offering to the people here live, as well as anybody who's watching this and catching the replay, is if you enroll by December 23rd, okay, so you got whatever it is, like you got almost a week to think about it if you need to think about it. If you enroll by December 23rd, it is half the cost, okay, $2,500. That gets you 12 months of membership into the Business Builders community. And it's a very similar format to what I described with the Crypto Investors Mastermind, meaning we meet once a week for mastermind community calls. Yes, they're live. Yes, they're also recorded, so you can always catch the replays if you're not there live. It is implementation focused, meaning we are learning by doing. Yes, there's some trainings, not a ton, but there's recorded calls, but it's primarily focused on, okay, what do you need to do right now? Great, let's have that conversation. I'm going to give you whatever resource you need to like implement and make that happen. And then we move forward from there. Yes, you get access to me one-on-one. No, that does not mean we're going to meet once a week for a coaching session. It means if you need help and I can tell this is best served by you and me jumping on a 20-minute one-on-one call, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need and then give you any resources that are relevant for the context, for the situation that you find yourself in. We will absolutely do that. Okay. So you're going to get access to the calls, to me, and then you get access to our Telegram group chat as well, which is where the interaction in the community happens. So in terms of deliverables, it's those 3 things. Like I said, super simplified, minimum effective dose. The intention is that you take this experience and use it as a springboard to create your own community. What will that mean for you? I don't know. But over the course of the next year, if you implement and if you get 100 members, I'll let you do the math. Whatever you're charging, multiply that by 100, and that is what that is the outcome that we're seeking over the course of a 12-month time frame. So if you are leaning towards that, I'm going to drop the link. I'll follow up in an email with the link as well. But if you are ready to roll, I'm going to drop in the chat. That's the registration link. Okay, it's going to redirect you to a checkout page. Checkout page will say Mastermind Profits, 50% off, $2,500. If you fill in your info there, I will get a little notification that you have enrolled into the Business Builders community. And then I will follow up with you directly. It's not going to be an automated follow-up. It's me. I'm going to email you and say like, hey, here's the next steps. Here's access to our community. And here's a link for you to book a call for our first one-on-one session. The first one-on-one session that we do is like a strategy call, but like an actual strategy call where we're going to talk about like, okay, where are you at right now? Do you have members? Do you not have members? What are your first steps? And ultimately 12 months down the road, where do you want to be? And then we're going to plot out some action steps in order to accomplish that. And I'll just give you straightforward homework and say, this is what you got to do over the course of the next couple of weeks. As soon as you're done with that, let me know immediately. And then we will follow up with another one-on-one call to keep you on track. So this is not a process where you jump in and then you get forgotten about. Okay. This is a process where you're going to interact with me a lot, especially at first. And then along the way, as you need additional help and support, all you have to do is ask. And it's literally just opening up the Telegram Messenger app and saying, hey, I need help with XYZ. Can someone please help me? And it'll either be me personally helping you, or depending on the nature of your problem or obstacle, it could be someone else in the community who has already gone past that point and they're in a position to help you. Erica, thank you. Good to have you here. Questions, comments, thoughts could be about the content today, or even perhaps about the Business Builder Mastermind. Cool. Everyone's pretty chill. What kind of water am I drinking? Kirkland brand water. So tap water probably is what it amounts to. Isaac, that makes a lot of sense. Thoughts on something like a fitness offer, include programming? Yeah, so Isaac, what I would say, and this is, again, this is just one opinion, one way to do it, because with fitness, there's a lot of ways to do it. If I was running a mastermind around like fitness workouts, that sort of thing, rather than me doing the work of writing someone's program for them, I would, at most of the mastermind sessions, reinforce the principles of creating your own program. Okay. So what it does is it immediately takes off of your plate probably 20 hours a week of work of you having to update everybody's program. And at the same time, it pushes someone to take ownership of the results that they are intending to get. Now, I spent a lot of time in the fitness industry, so I know there's a really big dichotomy, right? There's the people who are like, I'm paying you because I just don't want to think about it. What I'm going to tell you is, again, just an opinion here. You probably don't want to only work with that type of client. You probably want to more work with the client who's like, I really just want to like learn how to do this, but I also want and need a supportive community to help me accomplish that. And then within that, I mean, this is something we could get into more in depth over the course of the year, but within that, there would be types of programs that you could introduce and show people the principles behind them. So if there's a 1-hour mastermind session, you might spend 20 minutes of the 60 minutes teaching on a principle of programming based on like, today we're going to talk about principles of strength. Today we're going to talk about principles of burning fat. Today we're going to talk about principles of posture improvement. And you would teach for 20 minutes and then open it up for discussion and Q&A and input from the community. Sam is asking, what kind of marketing budget should we have? Yeah, really good question. So this model, and this is something that, I mean, I just didn't get to have time today to dig into this, but this model is based on starting with an organic approach, meaning unpaid, well, unpaid in terms of dollars, paid in terms of your time commitment, but unpaid lead gen first, running an initial promotional offer, meaning the first 10 or the first 20, whatever. I did the first 20 in the crypto mastermind, get a reduced rate. Okay. Similar to what I'm doing with this one. I'm basically saying like, hey, if you sign before this date, you're going to get half off what the actual cost of the mastermind is. You do that first through unpaid means, and then you take that cash and reinvest into paid traffic. broad strokes, because results on return on ad spend can vary wildly. But broad strokes, if you are getting 2 to 4 times return on ad spend, you're doing very, very well. Meaning if you spend 12,000 on ads in any given month, you should be getting back at least 24,000 in cash collected, preferably closer to 36 to 48. And those are just like really loose, broad numbers. Okay, I'm just acknowledging if you can get 2 to 4 times, which is what I was able to get over the course of the whole thing, it's actually really, really good. So if I have a 40K cash collected month, I'm probably able to deposit somewhere between, like, all things considered, maybe 12 or 15K for me to keep, like, as a profit. The rest gets left in the business account, reallocated for additional marketing, paying someone else for services that you need, if it's ad maintenance or marketing or copywriting or whatever else you want. But at the heart of that, Sam, just real quick, at the heart of that is, don't spend that money up front. Generate that cash from the business and then reinvest that cash into the business, rather than, hey, let me just like swipe the credit card for 20K and like cross my fingers and hope that the ads work. Cool, Paul, sounds good. Talk to you soon. Yeah, Casey, I'll send you the replay. You can watch it. So yeah, I'll end the recording here. And then if anybody wants to stay and jam for a little bit, you absolutely can. I'll just like keep myself here on mute for a couple of minutes if anybody wants to jump in.